Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mishkat Al Mumin. I am the founder and president of the Communication of Success, an independent consultancy practice aiming at helping nonprofit leaders, educators navigate business challenges through grant writing and collaborative planning. Today, we will be talking about how to communicate under stress. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, we need to understand what is stress when we put it in the context of nonprofit leadership. So you have an increased pressure when responsibilities outpace time and perhaps clarity and resources. Oftentimes, stress goes unnoticed because it blends well with daily routines. So, some leaders refer to it, well, it's just business, it's just the industry. In reality, it's stress. Making that distinction is important to help the leader address it effectively. Stress builds through constant decision making, emotional labor, and community demands. The nonprofit leader serves the community. So oftentimes that comes with an emotion. Imagine you are catering to homeless people or to the poor community, and you don't have the resources, or you gave what you have to those who are, in need of it desperately, and another wave comes in. So that part of emotional labor creates stress on the leader of the organization. Uncertainty, financial uncertainty. Oftentimes, nonprofit leaders rely on donations, and there is, uncertainty that is built in within the industry. So, what will happen if I don't get that grant? What will happen if my main and only donor stops supporting me? All these situations would put the nonprofit leader under tremendous pressure. The scary part is when stress is normalized. Again, it's just the pace of the work, it's just the day to day business activity. In reality, it is pressure and stress. Then that stress and that pressure start disrupting communication and impacting performance. But once that disruption in communication occurs, you would see some sort of, I won't call it isolation, but I would call it a little bit of separation between the leader, the team, perhaps the community, because oftentimes when we are under pressure, we want to take a moment for ourselves to observe the situation. And we don't feel that it's, or we don't call it pressure because we normalize it. So that's the catch, if you'd like. So now you may ask, so why nonprofit leaders? Every leader in any field would face stress and pressure. What's the difference? So the nonprofit leaders are mission driven. So they focus more on how to help the community and how to provide the needed services. So that mission driven focus comes with an emotional and ethical way that has its own toll on the nonprofit leader. There is also a sense of urgency. So, who is going to feed the homeless if I don't? Who is going to take care of the stray dogs and cats? Who is going to provide the additional materials for the teachers? The nonprofit sector, fills a gap that neither the government nor the private sector can fill. So that comes with a sense of urgency. Now, keep in mind, nonprofits oftentimes are underfunded. Again, because they rely on donations, they rely on grants and support from the communities, and these vary over time. One time they have enough funding, the next day they don't. So that, and then comes the sense of urgency. Who's going to provide for my community if I don't? We talked about limited resources and how that situation can create frequent stress. Accountability. So you have a multi-layered situation of accountability. The nonprofit leader is accountable to donors, funders, to board members, staff, stakeholders, and to the public in general. It's true, you say, like the private sector is accountable to its investors as well. But within the nonprofit sector, you have a lot of layers of accountability. Being accountable to your staff, for example, is different than being accountable to the board. In the private sector, you see less accountability towards staff, for example. So all these situations combined, they create stress on the nonprofit leaders. Now, communication must bridge these diverse expectations without the buffer that you often find in corporate settings. So, the corporate setting may provide support. That's number one. You may have your own assistant who will help you with a lot of these communication issues. But with nonprofit leaders, because resources are limited, oftentimes support is limited as well. And then you have expectations, high expectations. You need to communicate with the board, you need to communicate with the staff, keep everybody appraised regularly. You also have your own external stakeholders, whether they are teachers, students, homeless people, even perhaps the local government. All of that creates a lot of demand, and with demand comes stress. The impact of stress on nonprofit leaders, you have reduced clarity. So even though the mission can be clear in the leader's mind, it's still, the impact of constant stress can reduce that clarity. So what should I do? Should I help, let's say, the teachers or the students? Should I focus on the impact of homelessness on the community directly, or maybe focus on the policy that is, contributing to the increase in homelessness. You have shortened patience, and this is really an issue here. A lot of times, because the leader is under stress, they cannot tolerate long-term engagement. So that part can lead to, a disconnect between the leader and the community they serve. They don't want to participate in events, or they feel like the event will take more time than they have, things to that effect. And then you have poor listening, because you are sitting in a meeting waiting for it to end, only for you to go and check emails, or take care of issues, or help that staffer, or provide for your community. Your listening ability will be limited. The decision making will be slower, because of limited attention span, so to speak. The leader is stretched thin. So if the decision can be put to the side until they deal with whatever it is on their plate, they will do that. Now, that will ultimately lead to break down in teams, communication, and trust. The important of, or the value of communication is building trust. That's why we communicate. We want to engage stakeholders, whether they are internal or external, to build trust with them. This way, as nonprofit leaders, we can serve the community. Let's start with financial stress. As I said earlier, the sector itself faces a lot of financial uncertainty. And oftentimes, financial stress is triggered by either, funding loss, grant uncertainty. You are waiting for that grant to come. As strong your grant application is, you are still feeling the impact of what if. And just a side note here, if any nonprofit leader needs help with grant writing, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I will provide you with the information shortly. You have issues with cash flow. Because the nonprofit sector as a whole is not focusing on profit generating activities, you may notice as a leader that you don't have a lot of cash flowing in your budget. Rising costs. So each program has a cost to deliver, whether it's staff time, materials, and oftentimes the cost will rise without the ability to plan or to adjust for that cost. You have donor withdrawing from the organization. Either they find another organization to support, or they themselves don't have the fund anymore. So what to do? Here are a couple of communication strategies for you to utilize. Name the real number. Whatever it is, you can use percentages, you can put a real number in there, and then translate the financial data into a simple, mission-centered language. And I'll give you an example and a formula shortly. But what I want to emphasize now is, rather than keeping the situation to yourself, either because you don't want stressed staff or because you don't want the stakeholders to feel that you are experiencing an issue, being upfront about it is better than facing rumors later on. Keep in mind, whatever it is, it will be revealed. So rather than, again, allowing rumors to fester, be upfront about it. You have to have short term and long term financial goals to create stability for your organization. We can do planning, we can do expected cost, we can do contingency plannings, we can even have contingency funds. But all of that needs to be planned for. You can have, again, short term plans and long term plans, but you need to start planning right away. One tool that helped me personally was the balanced score sheet. It helped me navigate financial uncertainty. And then you can always go back and look it up and see what else would you change. You have to have financial check-ins, whether with the board, whether with your staff, but you need to invite and create a solution space, a space where ideas can float without putting them down or criticizing them, even if they feel unfeasible at first. You have to have the conversation. That's more important than the solution itself. I promised you a formula, and here it is. So, to translate financial data into a mission driven language, the first step is to state the financial reality. For example, we are facing 15% budget deficit. The mission impact. So, our ability to deliver the program will be impacted. Now it's your turn to offer a grounded recommendation. And if I could even underline grounded, I would do that. It has to be practical. So we will not print the binders, we will create a digital binder. So if I would start from the beginning, the financial reality, we are having 15% budget deficit. So we cannot deliver the programs as we usually do. Therefore, we will present a digital binder rather than a printed one to save on the cost. Now, invite more solutions. What else can we do? And that's a question for the team. So, just to recap, state the financial issue, show the impact on the mission, provide a solution, and invite contribution. Here is a key sentence frame just to help you start the conversation. For example, here's what we know. We know that we have a financial deficit. Here's what it means. It means that we cannot deliver our programs as we usually do. And here is how we will stabilize together. So here is what we can do together as a team to address the situation. We also have performance stress, and oftentimes the triggers are high service demand, whether it's suddenly or it's expected. And then you have staff shortages, you have deadline, you have programs expansions, you have audits, and audits are oftentimes, requested by donors and funders, and they can be one, expensive, two, time consuming. Performance expectations from funders. I funded this event and I expect it to be looking like this, while, as a organization, you haven't planned for these expectations or they changed at the last minute. So, what to do in this situation? Here are a couple of communication strategies for you. You have to break large goals into clear, measurable, weekly priorities. So, the goal can be, for example, to complete the grant on time within budget. But each grant has several deliverables. If one person is responsible for all of it, then that's mission impossible. But if you delegate some of these deliverables to team members, to volunteers, to you know other stakeholders within the organizations who can help, if you even request an extension if possible, all that will help you prioritize. Make it, make these big goals into measurable steps. So each step will lead to completing one of these big goals. They can be baby steps, that's absolutely fine. But still, these steps need to be completed and on time. In terms of realistic timelines, and I'm sharing with you one of my experiences working in nonprofit. I worked in an organization that had multiple federal grants, and somehow, um, one of these grants was, struggling, and there was only 1 month left to complete the grant and spend the money. Most of the deliverables were simply untouched. The entire assignment fell on me. I had 1 month to complete by myself more than 7 deliverables. Honestly, that's an example of unrealistic expectations. The thing that helped me the most was my technology skills. So the organization needed to, build a website. The good thing is, I built a website in my career, so I was able kind of to pull that skills out of my, um, you know, arsenal of skills, so to speak, and complete the website before the end of the deadline. But having a realistic timeline is very important, which means you have to be tracking these things. That's why, that experience led me to design a grant tracking system. The organization at the time did not invest in Jira or Monday.com. But nevertheless, I developed a tracking system so as, we can stay on top of things. So having a tool to track performance is key for you to meet expectations. Oftentimes, we think of our skill set as compartments. In reality, they feed each other. So the way I was able to create that grant tracking system comes from me working in education. I created a performance tracking system for my students to be able to tell, like, how are they doing? Where is the break point? How can I help? The same skill I transferred to a grant and created a grant tracking system. So don't be afraid to try things based on previous experiences, based on previous job skills that you've acquired, and give it a try and see how it goes. Celebrate progress publicly. One of the things that I constantly did as a nonprofit leader was to send an email to the entire board to celebrate an accomplishment of a team member. So if a team member achieved something, no matter how small it is, even if it was a collaborative effort, like, for example, I mentored them, I would write an email to the board to celebrate their accomplishment, to give them the recognition they need, and that would boost morale. Of course, in the email, I would make the accomplishment theirs because I want to give them ownership. So don't be afraid of taking a step to celebrate accomplishment, in any way you see fit. But recognition goes a long way. And on that same note, I would encourage you, one, either to have micro briefings, just quick updates, and during these difficult times, avoid lengthy meetings. If you want to learn more about how to develop interactive meetings, please comment or reach out to me, and I will address that issue separately. Structural support. So, oftentimes, a lot of time is wasted on doing everything from scratch. So, when I talked, for example, about binders, if each time the organization is presenting a course or presenting an event or preparing for a class, and a staffer has to build the binder step by step, that's a lot of time on their behalf. Keep in mind, time is money. The same staffer is charging you as an organization, let's say $400 per week to complete that particular binder. If you build a template, though, that time can be cut into half. This way, the staffer feels more engaged because they don't have to create it from scratch every time. They also feel like you respected them and gave them the opportunity to engage with the organization on another task, not just building binders. And you can have decision making tools. If you go to my website, the languageofsuccess.net, there is the decision making matrix ready for you. Just download it, and each time you want to make a decision, you will have a decision that is effective and impartial, rather than you thinking about it from scratch all over again. And here is a key sentence frame that I'd like you to think about. To reduce overload, here is what we will focus on this week and what we will be pausing for now. So these are just a couple of statements for you to think about and see how can you use them in your organization. As I said, I'd like you to continue the conversation with me. You can connect with me on YouTube by visiting my channel, and I hope you will subscribe to it. It's called The Communication of Success. I provide videos on workplace challenges such as favoritism, sexual harassment, all of that through engaging interactive videos that are solution oriented. So please, give it a try, watch one of my videos, feel free to comment. If there is a topic you'd like me to explore, I'm more than happy to just, share a comment with me and I will get started on it. You can also check my Substack. It's at Dr. Mishkat. I provide a lot of tools, activities that are ready for you to implement, stories that I experienced personally or I witnessed, and make them available to you. On LinkedIn, I publish an article every Sunday examining leadership and education, and focusing on that intersection to engage the network in a reflective process. Feel free to check my website, thelanguageofsuccess.net. There are a lot of tools available for you for free to download. And again, I'd love to continue the conversation with you. Let's focus now on the stress that comes from uncertainty. As I said earlier, the nonprofit sector faces a lot of uncertainty, not only around funding, but, for example, shifting policies that will change how you deliver services, leadership transactions, because the funding is limited. Oftentimes, you would see leadership changing hands more often than other sectors. You have community crisis. So imagine if, like we have a hurricane and the organization is responsible for providing relief, or an organization that is committed to youth and education, and God forbid there was a shooting in a school. So all that will kind of put the organization on an alert situation. Changing funders' priority. Oftentimes you would see topics or mission statements that are hot for 5-6 years, and suddenly no one cares about them. So that change in priorities would impact the organization because it limits its funds. Unknown timelines. So you apply for a grant, and even though there are some sort of guidelines, you never know exactly when funding will come, if it will come. So how to deal with these situations? Provide micro truth, what we know, and it's very important to always share what you know. Once you start sharing what you know, rumors will kind of quiet down. Create predictable communication rhythm. You see, oftentimes I notice like nonprofits will start a newsletter and it goes for 6 months and then it dies. A nonprofit will focus on all social media outlets. They are active on Facebook, they are active on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, or formerly Twitter. Rather than doing all of that all at once, which will create stress not only on the leader, but on the team as well. Choose one or two that fits well with your mission. You don't need to scatter your community. You need to bring them under one umbrella. Speculation, you know, booms, so to speak, when no one talks about what we know. So that's why it's important for these updates to continue. Even if you have to, I wouldn't say repeat yourself, but reframe. So if you say we have a deficit of 15%, next time you can say we have a deficit of $100,000. It's still the same message, but presented differently. And the objective is to avoid speculation. When it comes from the leader, when it comes from the organization, it has credibility, the message, I mean. But if, we go silent, no communication, then you would see rumors bubbling and speculation will be at all times high. Reassure the team. That's another key component. Your team needs assurances. And when it comes from you, when it as the leader of the organization, it has weight. So that's very key component in your messaging that you need to do. Keep in mind tone and body language matter. So if I say this, yeah, we are doing well. Yeah, we can pull it through. No problem. Did you believe me? But I have to say we are doing well despite the deficit, despite which we are facing, we are doing well. And every day we are making progress. So the way you say things matter, and your tone, your body language, they do impact the messaging situation. Your decision making process needs to be transparent, meaning it's not that you have to share every decision with the team waiting for their approval, but the team needs to know what criteria are you using to make the decision. Is there an appeal process or not? And what will happen when the decision is final? Surprising the team with something is the worst thing you can do. So even if you have to call for an urgent meeting, provide the theme of the meeting. Why are we meeting right this instant? Provide talking points. At least this is the minimum you can do. And provide expected outcomes and an appeal process. This way, the team is not caught off guard. That's number one. Also, they feel engaged in the process. Unknown means disengagement, also rumors and speculations. And these two, the last, things, the speculations and rumors, you need to completely eliminate. Build flexibility. Again, that's why I was emphasizing the appeal process. If a team member does not agree with something, what should they do? That's very important. Again, the objective is not to have every single team member agreeing with you. The objective here is to demonstrate flexibility. So as team members feel that they are engaged with you in the process. Encouraging questions. So, and I know so many leaders don't like this idea because they feel that they are being questioned or this troublemaker will give me a hard time. We can have another discussion about how to deal with difficult employees, but don't punish those who are supporting you by not allowing them to ask questions just because you have one or two troublemakers within the team. And here is the key statement that I'd like you to consider. Here is what remains uncertain. We are not sure the grant will come through. We are not sure this funder would support us. And here is how we are going to move forward while we are learning more. So you are providing a path forward for your team to follow. If you'd like to learn more about my communication journey, please feel free to check my new book, Unseen, Unbroken. I have communicated across borders and cultures, classrooms and courtrooms, boardrooms and ministries, and communicated across crises, communities, and change. So if you'd like to check my book, it's on Amazon. Here is the link for you. The digital version of the book has more than 10 sketches that are mine reflecting my feelings through different stages of the process or the journey. The design is also mine. So I would be honored if you decided to check out the book or see the description on Amazon.com or even go ahead and buy the book. I want to give you this stress decision radar. It's an activity that will help you visualize how to, reduce stress and overwhelmness, in day-to-day practice. Think about what you can control right now. What's under your control right this instant? What you influence through your communication? And again, that's the value of active and engaging communication. And what you can only monitor. And oftentimes my clients will tell me, I don't like to monitor anything. But I agree, to monitor things can be disengaging. But if you think about it as research, as a method for you to collect data and information, and perhaps later on you can influence that data, then that becomes more enjoyable. For my closing reflection, I'd like you to think of this. What part of your communication breaks first under stress? And that's for you to decide. Is it your communication with the board, with the staff, with the community? So, what part of your communication breaks first and why it's vulnerable? Choose one practice to implement this week, whether it is to use the financial statement that we've discussed, whether it's to implement the stress decision radar that we went through. Choose something to implement today to notice and address the stress in your communication. Thank you again for joining me today. I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you. Please feel free to comment and connect with me further on LinkedIn or Substack, YouTube, or visit my website. I appreciate the opportunity and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.